Hey guys, this is Kyle, aka Vulcan Wolverine. I hope everybody's hanging in there and doing the best they can, surviving, finding joy and love. I want to kind of get this done quick because, I don't want to get too sidetracked. I think that maybe I don't know. My attackers froze up my computer. So let me just explain it real quick. To get this article up, what I had to do, because when I pulled it up online and I was going to make a video with my computer being online, um, I pulled up this article and immediately my attackers froze my computer. So what I did is I turned the wireless off and the airplane mode on, turned the computer off, then back on, then clicked on my Google, right? But I'm offline. But this article, like articles will stay up, where videos don't. So I think I've got a method to make sure I can still keep making videos about some of these important articles, right? Getting it up is a task. It's like if my attackers will let me, they can just freeze it up. So I'm trying to think of like what I'm gonna do now. I think if I got a new computer, it would take them a while for whatever process they're using to hack into that one. Um, I'm not sure. I'm really praying about it. Let me get through this article real quick. This is the article I've been trying to put up for like 3 weeks. This is a Politico article. We owe this to our people. Lawmakers want answers on directed energy attacks, right? Isn't that great? It's like the Senate, the Senate, and a bunch of lawmakers are demanding answers from the Pentagon. This is from when was this? Lawmakers want the Biden administration to figure out who is behind the directed energy attacks and properly care for victims. Now, they say victims and they say Americans in a very general way because I think it's pretty much known, right, that it's not just governmental workers. Um, and in all the new talk, in the legislation, it does say government workers and their families, but then in every new article, it's just saying Americans in general, right? And even the Havana Act states clearly Americans, Americans who are experiencing neurological attacks. Sorry, I'm a little bit unprepared because the computer, like, I found a way to do the video, and I was just like turning on. See, I didn't even turn my lights on or anything. Um, I was excited. Okay, and this guy right here. This is Mark Warner, who I have not sent an email to, but I'd say if you're a targeted individual, and I'm not sure if he a representative or a senator, I don't know, but if he's in your state, he's somebody to send a letter to if you're a targeted individual in that state, and targeted individuals in other states too. Lawmakers were sworn to secrecy for 5 years about the threat of mysterious health incidents, attacks, directed energy attacks, impacting U.S. personnel at home and abroad. Now those lawmakers have hit their limit and are castigating the intelligence community. You see, and I haven't seen Marco Rubio in like, why wasn't he? Did he ever get up there? He did. He talked about Afghanistan. Never mind. I worry about those senators who have moral lines, right? I just worry about them and their families and what they're going to have to do, or if they'll do it, you know. As officials sound the alarm in closed door briefings on Capitol Hill, members of Congress in both parties are panning what they see as a years long failure to sufficiently address the growing spate. I mean, this has been happening since like the 1950s. It's been growing. Millions and millions upon millions of citizens around the world have Havana syndrome, right? Havana syndrome. It's directed energy weapon experimentation or operations to use directed energy weapons and neuro weapons to incapacitate a target, to screw up their life, to do black ops on them, to digitize the brain, to just map the brain, right? It is digitizing the brain. Many different angles, right? Many different angles that all make good money, right? So if anybody ever says, why would they spend so many resources on you, just spit in their face. Kidding. Don't just spit in their face. Go, they are making money off of all this. They're making money to target citizens They are making money to gang stalk citizens. They are making money to do all this because data is king. And when you're surveilling and getting all this data, you're surveilling citizens like DHS, or you're surveilling and torturing citizens like these contractors. It's all a bunch of dough, right? Because that's the big thing. And and keep it in mind, like these contractors, like Lockheed Martin, they are given money to manufacture the weapons, and they are given money to do the experimentation. They're not spending money, their own money, to manufacture the weapon systems. They are granted this money by the military, right? By DARPA, the Pentagon, whoever doles out the money there, right? And they're making money to manufacture these weapon systems, and they're making money to experiment on innocent civilians, right? I just keep thinking about, never mind, I keep thinking about that, the Taliban guy hanging from a helicopter. And I'm sorry, this has nothing to do with this. I'm sorry, guys, but I was just like, if anybody believes that the Taliban thought of that themselves, like, hey Abdul, hang me from that helicopter, and I'm gonna ride the helicopter, I'm gonna be hanging from it in a parade. And I laugh that people would think that they would come up with that idea, right? Because they're completely owned by intelligence agencies. It's funny. Or at least like a lot of them that they use for the photo ops are. It's so crazy. Our world is so crazy. Oh my god. It's so painful. Like living in, and it's not even just the targeting anymore. It's I've got some other stories about the CV, man. Let's finish this article. I'll make another video and put it on BitChute. As officials sound the alarm in closed-door briefings on Capitol Hill, members of Congress in both parties are panning what they see as a years-long failure to sufficiently address the growing spate, and it ain't no spate, of so-called directed energy. They're not so-called, they are directed energy attacks on Americans. They're pushing the you see how like Havana syndrome came out and it was this big mystery, and was it cicadas or was it mass hallucination, right? Or mass hysteria or whatever. I mean, whatever that new terminology is for a big group of people just all imagining that they're maybe being poisoned or bioweapons being used on them or something, because they need mass hysteria, right? Because they're really gonna affect huge numbers of people with really dangerous stuff, and they want to say, well, there's mass hysteria, you know. But isn't it weird how it's like, you know, when the when the Cuban embassy attacks happened, we were all saying directed energy weapon attacks, and they finally got to it, right? They finally got to it, and everybody just kind of forgets how people were saying that back then, right? Because we've got a bunch of new crises to deal with, so it's like, well, we can't even stop and just think about, oh wait, these people we thought were crazy back then. You know, nobody can think of anything, right? Because everybody's confused. Oh man, we're gonna do this. I've got plans, guys, with real hope. I do feel a little bit hopeless in the at this point right now, like, oh, these programs are going to end, right? Because these programs and hitting people with directed energy and neuroweapons is like what they want to do for the population, right? That's it. So even if half the world like knew what we knew, I'm having doubt that the programs would just be like, oh, every country is stopping this, right? But I do have hope, and not just every man. And I hope y'all understand this. When I say individual pathways, I don't mean every man for himself or every man and woman for himself. I mean, we take individual pathways with like certain doctors and stuff like that, seeing who will help us and get some authority and evidence on our situation to maybe push back our contractors, or get in with certain things and then do best practices sharing, right? I've got some ideas. I don't want to explain them all though on the video. Yeah. We owe this to our people, said Senator Mark Warner. Okay, so he is a senator from Virginia. So if you're a targeted individual in Virginia, write this man a letter or try and call his office, because he's like incensed about not knowing what this is, right, or who's doing it. And we know right, why they're not getting the answers they want, right? Because every country's doing this to its citizens. There's operational, every country's hitting intelligence agencies and embassy workers in their countries, right? But they can't really reveal that, because then it would reveal all these people that they're experimenting on in every country, right? It's going to be pushed. It's going to somehow be pushed in a way that I can't see. But we understand why these lawmakers are not getting answers, detailed answers, right? Because the Pentagon already knows. Like, it knows all this stuff. The CIA knows, and it's trying to stall it. It's not trying to investigate. The investigation is a stalling, right, of this coming out, what it really is. Because if you just said this, the Senate said, okay, we're starting an investigation, right? We're starting an investigation. We want the American public involved in this. We want everybody in the American public to start looking up what could Havana syndrome be. Start researching everything about so-called directed energy, remote microwave attacks. Right? You'd have investigation figuring out this whole thing if you had that number of people, like, all, and they'd be like working on the investigation, right? But the Pentagon and the CIA are like the smartest agencies. They've got the intelligence, right? And then they're going to say they don't know anything about directed energy weapons or anything like that. Like, our country, we're just, Cuban intelligence is using it, China's using it, Russia's using it, and we just don't have any directed energy weapons. We just don't have any of that here. Yeah, right, I like this, but I think this is what I'm going to call the video, guys. Just, we owe this to our people. Maybe important article about senators demanding answers on Havana syndrome. We owe this to our people. Gosh, there's so much that they owe us, and instead we're getting thrashed. There's like Hurricane Larry. Like, I saw this guy. No, I can't get too far off track. I need to make other videos about that. But what's hard is my attackers let me put out a video this morning, and then I pulled this up. I was like, man, because I want to do, like, I'm sitting here and this is what I can do, right? And they just froze it up. So it's like they make it a 2 or 3 day thing to put out one video. Or like those other videos, well, that was because of the hurricane, So he is the chair of the Intelligence Committee. Senator Mark Warner's the chair of the Intelligence Committee. I forgot that. The fact that we're 5 years into this, so I sent him an email. Like, I actually sent him an email. The fact that we're 5 years into this and we're still making sure we got the protocols to, one, take care of our people who are injured. That's us on this channel, right? You guys who come in here, y'all are targeted individuals, and me, like, I'm a citizen of the United States of America. I have not committed any crimes. My brother's a federal worker even, right? So I'm the family member of a governmental worker, and I need medical care, and I need financial help, and I need legal counsel, because that's another thing we need to add on there. We need to demand stuff and really get up in people's faces. There's chaos in the world, there's other stuff going on, but it's massive if we could let people know about this just a little bit and they could connect things. I don't know, guys. I mean, because they're just transhumanizing everybody, and let's not get off on that, but I know that there is victory, and I know that there are things that we can do to make our lives better, and I know there's even things we can do probably individually to have a good chance of, like, some legal help getting these contractors off us. If we mosey up to those senators, right, we kind of get them knowing who we are in some more ways than just writing letters, right? I'm thinking of stuff. Take care of our people. Okay, so take care of our people who are injured. 2, identify who did this. I'm just looking at my attackers. I'm screwing with them. And 3, identify what tools or weapons did they use. So I can tell you who's doing this. It's contractors. It's contractors tied into like intelligence agencies of every country, whatever their intelligence agencies and DoD. They put out contracts to international contractors and national contractors that manufacture the weapons, and they then do training, research, and development on citizens. Now there's complications to that, right? But that's the border of the puzzle, right? I'm going to start doing that a lot. My mom will usually do the border of the puzzle, and then I'll do the inside of the puzzle. But when I'm talking about like these contractors doing stuff, there's a web of contractors, hospitals, labs, everything involved in this stuff. But just saying the big dogs that are at the kind of control at the core of it, you get the border to the puzzle that you're making, right? Shouldn't be a puzzle. Like, it shouldn't be a puzzle at this point. It's very maddening to me. It's maddening to me that we're not all on the page of this is the military-industrial complex. Like, it could be tied to things above it, and it has things tied below it, but you look at the Pentagon and DARPA and CIA and DIA, NSA, right? The core of the military-industrial complex, and that's who's doing it, right? That's the only organizations with enough power and resources and the ability to make money off of something like this, right? The government really couldn't directly make money off of this. It would just be, because people would just run up and just destroy the government, right? I don't think, just forget about what that last thing I said. That didn't make any sense. We owe this to our people, said Senator Mark Warner, chair of the Intelligence Committee. The fact that we're 5 years into this and we're still making sure we've got the protocols. Okay, I forgot that I even read that. The attacks first identified in Cuba in 2016 in what became known as Havana syndrome. American diplomats were believed to have been targeted with directed energy from an unknown source. Victims of the suspected attacks have reported symptoms including severe headaches, ringing and pressure in the ears, and even long-term brain damage. Since then, the incidents have stumped officials across the U.S. government, where a massive investigation is beginning to take shape as the threat to American personnel has increased. American personnel, and there was already vicious danger and deaths of American citizens over a long period of time, like since the 1950s, probably in effect on just random American citizens like in the 70s. Yeah, probably sooner than that, but where it really kind of started blossoming with experimenting with people in mental hospitals and prisons and things like that was probably the 70s, I'd say. That's kind of a guess. I don't know. Okay, so yeah, beginning to take shape as the threat to American personnel has increased, both overseas and on U.S. soil. The response was inadequate in the early stages. I think it's gotten better, but still not good enough, Senator Marco Rubio, Republican from Florida, vice chair of the Intelligence Committee, said in a brief interview. It's almost like the burden of proof is on these individuals. Holy good God, thank you. Did you see that? See, this is why this article is so awesome. Like, I wanted to put it up 3 weeks ago. Maybe some of y'all have read it, because I did make that video about it. Awesome stuff. These are the articles that this is all we need to do. Just put up these, this isn't all we need to do, but this is the awareness part, right? This is it, man. I mean, mainstream weapons right here. Listen to this. It's almost like the burden of proof is on these individuals. And given the nature of the injuries they've suffered, I don't think it was initially treated the way it should have been. Amazing. Well, I don't want to pull anything out of it, but I'm like, is he talking about like all the people, all the United States citizens who have sent him letters saying that they're being targeted, that their brains are being messed with, After Politico first revealed the Pentagon's recent warnings to congressional committees amid a rising number of incidents, lawmakers lamented that individuals hit with suspected attacks were not getting the necessary medical care. And then and citizens are not getting any medical care. As a matter of fact, I just want to throw this in. Me and somebody else were texting this morning, and I was saying, yeah, I mean, I need to go to a neurologist just to get that second DTI, right? But today's Monday. It was in the morning, right? I woke up this morning, and I'm putting it off because I'm like, is it gonna be a neurologist that like they just call and they say don't say anything, say this report is normal, right? Which is what I think happened on the other one. But on the other, I'm hoping they actually had a real DTI made of my brain, but then just said the report was normal, because then I can get second, opinions and stuff. But I don't know. They could have just switched it out with a normal DTI of a normal brain. Like, so I'm sitting here going, like, and that sounds crazy to even me, but it's like, no, that happens, and it's just that's normal business for them. But but I think that we could find a neurologist that would help, that would maybe help at this point, right? At this point where it's like you go in, and somebody was saying something about, I saw something on Twitter where somebody was kind of yeah, complaining about the word Havana syndrome, right? Which I understand completely. Like, Havana syndrome, what the hell are you talking about? This is like, directed energy weapon experimentation and torture. But remember what I said. Havana syndrome's like going up with a shield, right? You've got a good shield right there. Like Havana syndrome, you can't do crap to me because I'm talking about Havana syndrome. It's in the mainstream news, legislation, the Havana Act was against. What's the H stand for? Uh, Against the Havana? No. Is it the? Yes, it's the Havana Act, and it's not humans against victims. Oh my God, I can't remember the thing, but neurological attacks, right? What is it? Okay, let's not get off. But Havana syndrome and Havana Act and the legislation. Sorry, I couldn't remember the acronym for Havana Act, but it's a good one. Helping American victims against neurological attacks. I think my attackers actually gave that to me, which is weird. But so it's like a shield, right? Havana syndrome is a shield, and then you got your spear behind you, which is like what everything else is going on. And then you're like, like that, right? So that Havana syndrome, you can use that word with your family. It was somebody. Oh, it got me thinking about it because they were asking on Twitter, like, my family doesn't believe me or anything like that. But I have to say, even with Havana syndrome and me saying that to my family members and friends that hang around my family, because I don't really hang around any of my friends, it still doesn't work. I want to go for some people that I don't know. I look at our families. Well, I look at my family, and I'm blessed that they're not targeting me, right, or anything like that. They've been good to me, and it's I'm at this point. Some of y'all may not be, but I'm just saying, just for my situation, I'm kind of like, I'm gonna leave my family alone. Like, not leave my family alone. I'm gonna work with them on other stuff that I can, and right now they just can't get. I mean, I think my brother is being targeted severe, like, because of the whole CV mess and everything like that. Some stuff happened, and I'll make another video on that. But I kind of don't want to talk about him. I don't want to talk about my brother or my family members. I feel like it's too TMI. Feels like I need to kind of get out of the TMI and stick to the BMB. I don't know what that stands for. Okay, so after like the best I'm not doing good with acronyms today, guys. I'm not Mr. Acronym today. Okay, after Politico first revealed the Pentagon's recent warnings to congressional committees amid a rising number of incidents, lawmakers lamented that individuals hit it with suspected attacks were not getting the necessary medical care. Rubio, for example, said victims were facing bureaucratic hurdles to get proper treatment. I think that he's like this. I saw this before. Like, I read it like 3 weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago, or whatever. Probably 3 weeks ago. maybe 2.5. I read that and I was like, you know what? I think that he's speaking as if he's speaking about just the governmental workers, but he's gotten so many letters, right, that I think he's double speaking in a good way. You see what I'm saying? Like, double speak is not good and double think is not good, but in a place where everyone's lying, right? Like, everyone's lying, and you're just supposed to be talking about the governmental workers being hit, but he's a senator getting letters from all these, like, citizens who are victims too. So he starts like trying to break through the lies of the evil with a little bit of doublespeak, right? So that people kind of, some pick up on this, but some don't, right? Could be. I don't know. I don't know. But I think that kind of doublespeak where we're trying to use it as a weapon for good, right? Where we, trying to get the truth out in a place filled with lies, right? It's almost like the way that our society was truthful mostly, and then liars speak out of both sides of their mouth to confuse the truth, right? Maybe we can confuse the lies. Wow, it's just like Predator 2 when Danny Glover grabs the Predator's weapon from him, and that's what saves him. So, sorry guys. I'm so excited. Like, I've been spending all morning, like, my computer frozen, and I think they're letting me do this, though, because it's when I turn the computer on with the wireless off, they can freeze it anyway, but I think sometimes they'll let me do it. But it's still bad, them being in control of what I can and can't do, like, and what I can and can't put out. Sometimes it's 3 days to get just one video out. And I'm serious. I'm serious about this stuff. Like I gotta get either a new computer or because I can't deal with the I can't deal with this stuff. Last year, former acting Defense Secretary Christopher Miller approved a plan for the Pentagon to cover medical care for victims of this. So last year, former acting Defense Secretary Christopher Miller approved a plan for the Pentagon to cover medical care for victims of the suspected attacks who sought treatment at the department's facilities, according to two former national security officials with direct knowledge of the matter. In the meantime, though, Senator Susan Collins, Republican from Maine, she's awesome, she's passionate, told Politico she is working on legislation that would allocate funding for medical care and other financial compensation for the alleged victims. The victims. Man, we're gonna have a big problem because we're not only gonna have. Should I even talk about the negative stuff? We have so much negative stuff. We're gonna have people that like think they have Havana syndrome, a lot of them, like, and that's what they're gonna be like. They're gonna try and use that against us who really have been targeted for like decades, right? And then I think that not only are you gonna have real people who think they have Havana syndrome or like, coming in and they don't nothing's really wrong with them or they got something else, but you're gonna have psyops going on where they're gonna try and make fake people like go and try and get help and make it really obvious that they don't have it, right? So that it creates these news stories like, oh, everybody thinks they have it, right? So we're gonna be dealing with a lot of bullshit. Like, we're gonna be dealing with a lot of bullshit to get through the big one, right? The program's ending. It's gonna be like they're gonna guard it at all costs. The most, like, the powerful entities in this earthly realm. But I think we're at a time where there's liability, and the liability is not just brewing. The liability is there, and it's been spoken by the Senate. The Senate is against these attacks and is investigating them as crimes against humanity, right? I think they have said that, crimes against humanity. And I think that it, like, as individuals, a team, like, not every man for themselves, but people, we go out and we talk to certain authorities, and this is what I'm going to try and do to show y'all what I'm talking about, right? To show you exactly what I'm talking about. And then we do best practice sharing. We're all going in different directions, kind of building little tunnels, and then maybe we can get a little bit of that to collapse on top of the big activism, getting the program stopped, right? So we're going to have to, right now there's so much chaos, nobody's paying attention to like, oh, look, targeting's happening and we need to get these programs stopped. That's troublesome, right? But with individuals in society, the chaos may actually be a boon for us, right? And so I'm trying to think of ways where that chaos that's going on can make them slip. And if we go in the right angle, they'll be slipping and then they can't take it back, right? So we got to think of things like that. Take advantage of this death that is coming down upon us in any way that we can, to make the leaders that are in place kind of slip out of place, right? And maybe screw something up so it just comes out, right? They've got a lot of levers of control, so that's very hard. But that's why I'm thinking of things where it's like a lot of people kind of working on different angles. I don't know, you know. I'm gonna throw some stuff out there. I'm gonna just go into the neurologist. Like the person I was talking to was like, you know, he was like, yeah, I'm concerned to go to doctors because it's like, can you trust them? Like I need to get, like, I have two spots in my teeth that are really bothering me, not like hurting, but I keep rubbing them with my tongue, and then my attackers with remote neural manipulate, like they do a weird thing with that. And I need to get the teeth fixed. And going back to that lady who went and gave my tooth back, I'm like, is she gonna put something else in my teeth? Even if I spoke to her and said, please don't put anything, she might not even, right? She might not even have anything to do with that. Maybe she just took my tooth and didn't give it back to me, that one thing, and she's not involved in any kind of implantation or anything on, you know, on people that come to her. But it's like, even if I just said, like, even if she was, and I said, like, hey, please don't put anything in my teeth, it microwaves people. They're not just tracking implants, right? These are dangerous things. Please don't. If somebody told you to put something in me, don't, right? Sounds insane, right? But it's true. It's like a thing. It's a justified, concrete fear, concrete concern for us when we go to doctors and dentists, because they've been implanting, and now y'all know what's happening to the whole population involuntarily. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, it's not good. Um, but God is good. That's the balance there. God is good. Okay, so let me read this one over, guys. In the meantime, though, Senator Susan Collins told Politico she is working on legislation that would allocate funding for medical care and other financial compensation for the alleged victims. Collins, a senior member of the Intelligence Committee, also wants to give targets of directed energy attacks. Look at the language. The language is great. The language is so great. They're saying things that we've been saying for years, and they're just putting them in mainstream articles, right? It was like in 2016, Cuban embassy attack, hold up, mass hysteria, crickets, blah, 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 all that stuff. And now it's like, oh, nah, too much of the interior of the government is understanding what's happening. So they're not only trying to put stuff up that's going to, like, kind of put them at ease that something's being done about it, and I don't know if they're trying to ease us. It seems like we're kind of just the odd man out. Like, oh, y'all are citizens being experimented on. We're going to take care of everybody else in the world. And then maybe like 100 years from now, we'll speak of you people as giving we'll probably just still speak of you as criminals, right? That we had to kill with this technology. They'll make something up. I'm sorry, that's not necessarily what's going to happen. Just everything's so absurd, and being done on such purpose, you know, and then you still got people like all over YouTube just like, oh yeah, I don't know how this happened. This is a major screw up. I kind of want to do some more videos on Afghan. I got some thoughts about that, what they're doing there. Wow. 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 That's kind of never mind. Okay. So Collins, a senior member of the Intelligence Committee, also wants to give targets of directed energy attacks. Show your family this article. I'd say if you're having trouble with your family or your friends, and this, I'm going to take my own advice. I haven't sent my mom this yet. No, it's like sometimes, like if I send her this, it legitimizes the situation. I think it takes stress off of her. because it's like, oh, that's the Senate talking about something, instead of me going just like, oh yeah, we're being targeted, and then she's like, I don't know what to do about that. Seeing that something is being done about it, it will soothe whoever you are talking to, right? If they're like, the Senate's looking into this, you're saying it's happening to you, that means I don't have to do anything, right? In an impossible situation, and I'm not saying my mom's like that. My mom can do anything. Like, you give her a problem that's like, that she understands, right? Not something that the world was not equipped to deal with on purpose, right? So that they couldn't get help. So we couldn't get help from hospitals or our families or anything. That was supposed to be the thing, right? You got 60-year-old dads with their daughters driving behind you with one light cars, and I'm supposed to be some dangerous guy. It's this old man and his daughter who they seem like they just knew they were safe. You know, I mean, jeez. Sorry about it. I said jeez but let's erase that. Collins, a senior. Okay, so access for directed energy attacks, access to the brain injury unit at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, but that would be governmental workers or families of governmental workers, which I am one. I mean, am I not one? My brother works at a federal courthouse. He's the main accountant there. I am a family member of a federal worker. I am protected under this legislation. My attackers who are microwaving me and some neighbors doing noise campaigns or gang stalking are ruining that song in my life and murdering me with microwaves and messing with my brain. And I am a family member of a federal governmental worker. I am protected by that legislation. Booyah! You're under arrest. Citizens arrest. Citizens arrest. I'm gonna try and find some way to actually use that, right? I don't know who to call. Like, I don't know who the governmental workers who are being hit by this, who do they call? Did they just call the State Department? Please, somebody in the comments. But I'm going to do some more just like calling places, like maybe the Sheriff's Department and things like that, and just talking with people and seeing where they're at, right? Can we get some kind of help from them? But please, somebody in the comments, because I know this information's out there, where do the actual governmental workers they're talking about, right, and their families, who do they call to get help, right? Apparently there's a big problem with that, is what Marco Rubio and Senator Warner are saying, right? But I'm looking for that, and I am fried from the targeting in ADD, so I'm not that great at research. Like, I'm not that pretty good at video games. Could call me a professional. But I'm just, maybe I missed it. Maybe I missed it because I was like looking up who you would call for that, and I'm not finding it very easily, which I'm sure that's on purpose, right? Because they're going to have tons of calls. They know they are. I mean, they know that if they give a number out that's like, if you have Havana syndrome, or your family members have Havana syndrome, you need to call this number. They know that's just going to it's going to be citizens, millions of citizens just in America, right? And you might have citizens from other countries calling those numbers too, which I think they should do, which I think citizens from other countries, if you're targeted, you should email and send mail to United States senators, especially on the Senate Intelligence Committee, because then they can understand this is being done to citizens in other countries, right? And that can give Marco Rubio an understanding, right? Oh, that's a good idea. Please do. If you are in another country, we have something going on in America, and I know you guys in other countries are like, how's that going to help me as a targeted individual? But it can. If we let these senators know how it's working in other countries, who's being hit in other countries, citizens per se, then they can have a better view. They can have more proof that, oh, this is our government. This is the military-industrial complex. This is experimentation, right? They might have more data on that. I don't know. Senator Marco Rubio could know the whole score, and just he can't say. He has to say it in that. That's a great idea that I didn't think of. It was sent to me, But we use, and Marco Rubio just showed me that because I'm like, it could be double speak back, right? You're in a house of lies, right? Like the word of the day when you go out and just do is people are lying about everything. So we double speak it back, right? You say something that the liars kind of think is part of the narrative, but it's not part of the narrative, right? We start kind of working our way back in there, and you're like, you got these chords on me and the lies, and then you go. Sorry about that last one, guys. Sorry about that. I'm so excited I got this up. I've been working on this for 3 weeks, and I had it up the other day. Like I had turned the internet off, and I had the article up after I turned the computer back on, and then they froze it up. So they're not free. So it must be them. Must be just they're not. No. And it makes me look stupid because you got all those people that are like, they don't hack into your computer like that. You do this or that, or your computer's got too much stuff on it. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Like, the hacking is like one of the most, like, not mundane because it sucks, but it's one of these things that my attackers will use if I'm not paying attention to them, right? If I'm like paying attention to something on the computer or the phone, you know, in the morning it's important for them, right? Because in the morning I want to wake up and I just want to turn on some YouTube and like let's get some fun, something funny, maybe Awakening with JP. Lately it's just been bad stuff, but it's like getting me going. It's my news, right? I'm looking for my news. Sometimes Tim, can't remember his name. Tim something. Tim he looks Timcast. That's not his last name. I can't remember Tim's name. I can't remember Tim's name, and I watch like every video of it. That's really bad. But I'm all right. I'm all right. Have you ever in your life felt like the little kid from Jurassic Park? You know, after he's on that electric fence, and he gets shot off, and then at the end he's kind of like limping around, and he's got a tourniquet on his arm, and he's stiff from all the electricity, and then he sees all the treats, and he's like, he goes and gets the, okay, I went too far with the metaphor, but do you ever feel like that little kid on Jurassic Park that just got electrocuted? Okay, so I have been very concerned for 2 years about the battle that government personnel have faced in getting proper medical treatment for these mysterious attacks. Okay, wait, let me read this whole paragraph, and then I'm going to state what I want to state. I have been very concerned for 2 years about the battle that government personnel have faced in getting proper medical treatment for these mysterious attacks that have occurred while they've been serving our country, and it just should not be that way, and I agree with her. Collins, who has spoken directly with some of the victims, said in a brief interview. Now, let me say, I have been horrified at the last 10 years of my life being tortured and microwaved and knowing exactly what it is after about 2 years of research, right? And then everybody else that have been in these groups trying to get help and not for many, 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 many years. I have been horrified when my friend Linda died from targeting and her kids thought she was mentally ill, so they didn't go to the funeral. I have been horrified by many things such as that during my time getting attacked by microwave weapons. We ain't talking about 2 years. And I like Susan Collins, but we ain't talking about 2 years, and that's the reason that they're stalling all of this. Everyone who's not a targeted individual and you don't understand this stuff, you should know why they're stalling, and it's not because some operatives are being hit by these weapon systems. It's because the freaking world is. And it has been for a long time. A lot of people is what I mean by world. And then, and everybody's in an electromagnetic suit. And I'm not going to talk about other things that they're doing to make the electromagnetic suit more dangerous, right? Because they don't want to have automated systems and human operators on everybody to wear them down, give them cancer, and mess them up, right? They want something that they can kind of turnkey get inside of people, and then you've got electromagnetic soup all around, which it was planned. Our phones, our computers, smart TVs, the your smart meter, and everything like that. They want something inside of people that can suck it in, right? Suck it right into the cells to create cancer right in the cell. I don't know. This is getting too. It's getting too much. Like, well, I'll make another video on that, kind of some real talk. But I don't know, man. It's like one crisis after another, and it's gonna be that way. And that's what when you get on YouTube or any kind of social media, that's gonna be the thing. It's gonna be the what crisis are we on? That's what we're all talking about, right? And I'm just like. No, I'm just thinking of how to move forward with all this stuff, but sometimes I'm just like, man, I get on here and I'm just saying it sounds crazy. Like, I mean, Roy Potter got on this morning and he's like, they are at war with us. Like, they are at war with us, and I have to wholeheartedly agree with Mr. Roy Potter. And please subscribe to his channel. Subscribe to Never Lose Truth also. But Roy will get up there, and he was like a lieutenant, I think, or a colonel, or lieutenant colonel, in the Army, ex-lieutenant colonel in the Army. But he's got a lot of knowledge, and I mean, he gets on there, and sometimes I'm like, man, that's probably scaring some people on there, but he's exactly right? It's not scaring me. Like, I'm being hit with microwaves, and my brain's being, like, they suppress my brain. And then I just saw this thing on Twitter this morning where they can stop you from talking, right? And what I notice about, like, I don't know, I gotta read that. Like, I'm gonna go through Twitter, and if I can make video, they're making it real. See, I would just get on, man, because there's stuff on Twitter, there's articles coming out, there's stuff that I just want to say, right? They're making it hard for me. But I don't know if that thing on Twitter that the Navy was talking about, I know it was a directed energy weapon, but I don't know if it was talking about like stopping somebody talking by affecting their throat like that, or it was talking about their brain, right? But what my attackers do, and it's awful, it's maybe the most awful, there's so many awful things about this, but they suppress it, and it seems automated, and it just suppresses my thinking to where I used to, and it's very, very, to me, it's very, even though it happened over kind of a long period of time, it's very, very, it stands out so much because before the targeting and even years into the targeting, always idea after idea after idea. Today, like I'd wake up today, not today, but like 6 years ago, I'd wake up and I'd go, what are the solutions? What do I need to work on? What do I want to talk about? And I could remember those things, right? So they've used this combination of memory dissolution and suppression of, like, I don't know if it's just the language center, but it's something that it's hard to come up with ideas. Now, when I'm on a video and I'm presenting information and I'm talking and I'm like trusting in God to help me talk about stuff, it seems to work. It seems to work. It seems to be a state of my brain that I'm not constantly in, right? So when I'm off the videos, I'm in this constant brain state that I'm usually in, and they work with that. And when I get on the videos, it's like I'm not in that brain state. I'm in a different resonance. I'm presenting information, and it seems that they have a harder time with that. And I can get my memories, but I can still kind of like flow with information, right? It's very interesting when you're in a different brain state. So it's like talking to your friends or your families and stuff like that. That puts you in a different state of mind where the targeting is going to behave differently. Like these people, because your brain is changing a little bit because you're in a different, like you're in a different brain state. That's why I'm so keen, and I think I keep putting that off too. I think that's mind control. I think they might. It's $300. It's $300. This resonance device, right? This entrainment device, and it goes like this. And I've showed y'all this on videos. If I get it, I'm going to show y'all. I have utter hope in this, because I've learned that changing resonance of your brain, and you can do, just by drinking some wine changes the resonance of your brain, right? So I've seen this happen. Um, and I really have a lot of hope in this thing, and I think we could learn a lot from it, even if it doesn't fix things forever, even if our attackers kind of get around it. Maybe if it only works a little bit or something like that, it will give us an idea of how important that is, and it's just one part of our defensive arsenal. Um, we've got this stuff. I know a lot of you guys and gals. I'm sorry, a lot of you men and women, guys and gals is lame. I know y'all are like, well, we're so close, so I'm not gonna really use defenses or anything because we got the Senate stuff. And this is the time to get some defenses, to get a couple of defenses and buy time. Now's the time, because we've got some complicated issues with the New World Order, right? Doing everything that it's doing all over the globe. Climate crisis. The climate crisis is about to be a huge thing. They're about to obliterate the people that they obliterated with man-made hurricanes and man-made fires and man-made earthquakes and man-made mudslides. They're about to just blame all of that devastation that was caused to them on them, right? And say it's like a global warming, right? You people on the earth are just causing so many problems, right? While they're doing all this stuff. And okay, well, let's finish the article. So we read that. So she spoke with some of the victims. I want to speak to some of these senators. I think I could do it. Like, I'm getting to where it's like I'm trying to get off of as many kind of chemical shielding things that I was mixing in just to survive, right? Because I was like thinking, right? I told y'all I was like thinking I was just gonna be kind of like, oh, I'm still making videos, but it like doesn't matter because then other people would kind of take the baton, right? Which so many target individuals are speaking out. Don't get me wrong, but I really didn't know how bad everything was gonna get, right? I really didn't. I kind of asked myself, I don't want to get off on that right now, but I'll make another video. Okay, so meanwhile, President Joe Biden's top deputies are facing growing pressure from lawmakers to figure out who is responsible for the suspected attacks. which officials believe have also occurred on U.S. soil. Yes, there are many attacks on U.S. soil being carried out 24 hours a day. You could say that there are streams of energy on United States citizens who have done no crimes and are being experimented on right now 24 hours a day. At this moment in time, in history, in time, right? Okay, so which officials believe have also occurred on U.S. soil, including near the White House and in the D.C. suburbs. Despite, I don't want to show the M over it. Drinking it weird, the opening's right here. Okay, so let's read that again, and I'll calm down. I'm sorry, I was so excited to get this up. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden's top deputies are facing growing pressure from lawmakers to figure out who is responsible for the suspected attacks, which officials believe have also occurred on U.S. soil, including near the White House and in the D.C. suburbs. Despite CIA Director William Burns' renewed focus on the matter, lawmakers want to see more done. I need to see what's been going on lately because I haven't looked up any like new information because of the hurricane and stuff, and I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to talk about what was going on in my city in relation to targeting and everything too. But I'm gonna get on it. I'm gonna do as much of my body and my mind can, and I'm never gonna quit fighting this stuff. But sometimes I just look at social media and I'm like, I look at social media and I'm like, it's just been so. I just think of what that the ex KGB agent said a lot, and that kind of I've seen that, I mean, like we've helped each other, right, with information. We all do as targeted individuals, but like he's like at a certain point, it's inundated with trash. Like any kind of information exchanges, it's just like cognitive dissonance, confusion. A normal family can't figure out what they need to protect their family and survive, right? That's and he was like at a certain point, the truth really doesn't make a difference. Like you can say the truth, but it's going to get lost in a sea of confusion, right? And that's why I'm kind of like I've been talking a lot about like these individual pathways to try, and then we network those things, and then we don't play the game like they want us to, where we group up into these corrals, right? I'm no I can't remember his name, but I was gonna say a funny joke. Um, Never mind. I'm going to get off of that. I can't remember what I was talking about, but corralling us so we're on YouTube and it's like, what's going on? What's the devastation happening to us, right? I got to get out of that. Like, I got to get out of that where it's like, oh, I'm reporting on this horrible thing that's happening and these horrible things are going to keep happening. And I realize, like, we can't save the world from some of those, like, huge systems in place, but I know I can do something about this because God put me here. Like I'm a targeted and I got targeted and God put me in this situation. This has a lot to do with everything else that's going on. So I'm like, there's something I can do here. I most definitely. I told my attackers, no, I won't go into that. I told them to F themselves. And then I called them. I wish I could say this was my favorite line in Predator 2. I can't even say. It. So I won't say it. But I am a child of Danny Glover. Okay, okay, so I read that right there. Too much of that information has been classified to the detriment not just of man. I watch other people. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. It's the targeting, man. If I wasn't targeted, like I would just do the article, and y'all would all like that. But I get sidetracked because my mind, it is crazy. My mind is crazy. Like I'm a non-crazy, artificially turned crazy guy. And how my crazy comes out is randomness, right? Because my mind is not, it's not as focused. It's ADD, right? So I mean, I'm doing, compare for what I've gone through. This is sturdy as hell, which is scary, right? Because I'm like going off on tangents and forgetting things. From what I've gone through, this is sturdy as hell. And you guys too out there, for what y'all have gone through, we're sturdy as hell. This ship's gonna hold. Now America, that's the Titanic, and we should get all women and children off at once. It's not funny. It's not funny. That's why I'm laughing. Okay, too much of that information has been classified to the detriment not just of those people who have been affected, but also to the response to address it. Okay, let me read that over. Too much of that information has been classified to the detriment not just of those people who have been affected, but also to the response to address it. Yeah, if you had the Pentagon and the CIA in charge of the investigation, and they're in charge of suppressing information to the Senate. Yeah, I'd say don't put them in charge of the investigation that they immediately start to hinder, right? That's why we've all been saying it's not an investigation, it's a cover-up, it's stalling it. So they're saying that. Senator Jeanne Shaheen, how are you gonna, like, all this stuff's been classified, you can't tell us. How do we even address how to fix it? Well, that's the point. All of this is a huge secret because when this comes out, boy, oh boy, how many people they've been torturing because they want to, I mean, with the things that are going on, the other things, they want to get everybody on the ride. Like, they want everybody on the frickin' ride, right? So they don't want it to come out in a certain way. They'll let it come out as a lie or something else or Havana syndrome and hold it for a couple of years. That's what they wanted. I don't know if they want to hold it for a couple of years, but like put a pin in it as Havana syndrome for a couple of months until they figure out what, another plan to stall. And I don't think that's gonna. I think it's still gonna come out. You know, just there's so much going on everywhere. People don't know what to focus on, and everybody sees certain issues as the most important thing, right? I guess not. I guess we all see that it's just wave after wave after wave. So I want to read that again. I want to read that again because I said that. Y'all remember? We all said that at the beginning of this, where there was going to be an investigation in the Senate, right? And the Pentagon and the CIA were going to head up that investigation, right? We all said this. Too much of that information has been classified to the detriment not just of those people who have been affected, but also to the response to address it, right? And the Pentagon and the CIA are in charge of classifying that information of what it is. They're also in charge of the investigation. You know, said Senator Jeanne Shaheen, Democrat from New Hampshire, an Armed Services Committee member who has led the push on Havana syndrome for years. Thank you, Senator Shaheen. Shaheen added that the Biden administration is at least beginning to address it, while the Trump administration didn't do enough. I was surprised by that. You know, due to the due to the nature of the suspected attacks and the sophisticated weaponry used, they are extremely difficult to attribute. It's not. Just anybody go look up Dr. James G. Adorno. Look up Dr. Hoffer's work on it. They have some work on it. Then listen to targeted individual testimonies who they may not have it scientifically right, but they can tell you how it feels, right? And they can tell you kind of what they're experiencing. And then look at the contractors with integrated directed energy weapon system. Contractors in every country and intelligence agencies definitely have these integrated directed energy weapon systems in use with neuro weapons built in right into the systems. And they use a massive global grid with all the other grids that you could ever think of inside of that global grid, right? That's what it is. That's what it is. And it's like okay, let's take this. Like in America, they would use the grid in the satellites above America. Well, no, they'd be they'd be trading data with other countries and probably experimenting on people in other countries too, I'd say. Countries that they're allied to, like smaller countries, America would be experimenting on their citizens too and giving the leaders things, right, to do that. Because of like genetics and culture and things like that. They've got to like have a big subset, right, of different cultures, genetics, personalities, races, everything like that. But I think that kind of experimentation, I don't know, with this kind of stuff, when they learn more, like they'll learn more about the brain and its connection to genetics and these things, and then there's new experimentation with the weapon systems, right? And especially with protocols of like how to get certain people to believe this or believe that or feel this way. It's like they're probably constantly trying to perfect things and make them quicker, right? So even though they know about the brain, it's like they still don't know about the whole brain, and they still don't know about things that they'll never know about, because even these integrated directed energy weapon systems can't read certain things quantumly. They're not built for that. So then maybe they try and build quantum machines that could read quantumly or subatomic, right? Those type of things. Like, I don't know, like, scientifically about what I just said, but y'all kind of get the point, right? There would be more to experiment on, right? And that's why it's got to be stopped, because the people, it's like nobody on the bottom, we're getting trickled out advances from these technologies murdering us, right? But all the really important data is flowing right up to the top, you know, and we kind of get the scraps of it afterwards, after they murder people in every country and learn about the technology. It goes far up to the top to hide the knowledge. And there's always been, I guess, hidden knowledge in the world, and Masons think they're the high priests or whatever, and You know, I'm sure the Zionist leadership and Talmudic Kabbalist leadership there, the high priest or whatever, you know, just the Jacobian organizations and stuff, that whole network of the cabal, right? But now they're trying to funnel more and more information and hide it to keeping more information from human beings about the world, right? Um, but it's like, you know, if you get a real close connection with God, God's going to give you that information anyway. He's going to help you to see it. So they don't understand that. Like they, I guess, reject there is a God, and like He's given me a lot of information on this. Not just like, oh, here's it in your head, but like, oh, I need to look this up. Like it'll just kind of hit me. I need, and then it connects to this, right? And it's pretty divine, you know. Shaheen added that the Biden administration is at least beginning to address it, while the Trump administration didn't do enough. Due to the nature of the suspected attacks and the sophisticated weaponry used, they are extremely difficult to attribute. Officials have told. Did I read? I did not remember reading this. The memory thing is really bad, short term. Like I'll take with Pepper they really tried to do it. She had medicines that if I double dosed her on just one time, she'd get really sick during the day. And I did it one time with her antibiotic. With her antibiotic, I didn't space it far enough because I thought it was 10 in the morning, and she got pretty sick. Like she felt bad. But they do that a lot. Okay, no, I didn't read this. Due to the nature of the suspected attacks and the sophisticated weaponry used, they are extremely difficult to attribute. Officials have told lawmakers that they suspect the GRU, Russia's military intelligence unit, may be behind the incidents, as Politico first reported. But the U.S. intelligence community has not yet made a formal determination. And it's not just one. Well, I mean, we all know. You guys all know that watching these videos, right? It's every big country, right, has these weapon systems, and they're experimenting on their citizens, and they're doing operational things, and they're remote neural monitoring like embassy workers that come in to make sure they're not CIA agents or any kind of intelligence agents, and they're all doing that kind of stuff, right? So you got experimentation going on and operations going on in every country that's on the board who has power, right? And then the bad thing about it is it's not just like, this is what I would say is I'd be like, well, I just want to move to a smaller country, you know, but if you move to a smaller country that's an ally with America, they're going to be experimenting on their people. Those intelligence agencies in that small country, or maybe even more corrupt forms of organizations, will have weapons like that, right? But there are countries that are not allied with any of the bigger countries, and I think that's where we'd want to go. You know, I'm still thinking. You know, I'm like watching everything unfold and not having a lot of hope for America in general, right? Existing much longer, unless some people pull some miracles out. Because I see that it's like, but that's not, I mean, I see a future for Americans and good people and like getting to somewhere, but I don't know, you know, I just don't see how America can hold together, because it's like we're destroying ourselves, and you know, we just look like the weakest country in the world after a 20-year war, right? Now they're back stronger. They're freaking hanging off of helicopters. That, you know what that is? That's a photo op that Americans are supposed to look at, and they're supposed to get really, really angry, right? And I think, well, I don't want to get too far off on this, but I think they set Biden up. Like I think that like they set Biden up to make this huge screw up, and then they're just gonna roast him, right? But they wanted it to happen, and all the anger is gonna kind of go to Joe Biden, right? But they wanted that to happen. They wanted to make Americans and other people fear, right? Just like a lot of other false flags and things that they do, like fear that there's a new place where terrorism can go and build up different terrorist groups, right? There's a lot of powerful stuff behind this that wants ancient prophecies fulfilled, right? And I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna go into any of that. We got to stick to this. But a lot of the really crappy stuff happening to us is like based off. And I'm not talking about the Christian Bible. I'm just talking about there are a lot of these things that are happening to us because some people like down the line pass down these weird prophecies of how things needed to go before like the end of the world, right? Probably a lot of you won't understand what I'm talking about, but it's true. But it's true. But even if the prophecy is forced, right? Still God's hand in it. Sometimes my attackers do things that are like kind of confusing. It's but then it ends up playing into something good, right? Getting way too far off. Let's go ahead and finish this article, guys. GRU, which that's the Russian does have these weapons. Like Russia is experimenting on its citizens and it's doing operational things, right? Too. I'm sure if there are Americans going there, it's like if I went there, the Russians would probably remote neural monitor me. Not because like I'm a secret agent or something like that, right? But they would probably be getting a read, right? They'd be getting a readout that I'm being hit by directed energy, and they'd want to see what was going on, right? So I'd have an American stream of energy going into me in Russia in my head and the Russian stream. I'm not sure about that, but I just think about like I do definitely think that people like Snowden would go to Russia and they'd kind of be in his head, right? And maybe they after they found out if he was just for real and he's just coming over there, like they'd be like, okay, you can stay, and then they maybe get out, right? Stuff like that. Okay, so lawmakers and aides say the years-long failure to determine who is responsible means the executive branch has kept too much information about the phenomena under wraps. It's a familiar spot for members of Congress, who, Republican and Democratic alike, grew frustrated with the Trump administration for its lackluster congressional engagement that often led to lawmakers first learning of major developments through the press. Even the ultra-secretive Gang of Eight, the group of Congressional and Intelligence Committee leaders privy to top-secret information, has been in the dark about key elements of the episodes. Wonder why they would keep all of these Intelligence Committee leaders privy to top-secret information in the dark on this one. Could it be because Marco Rubio, if he knew that citizens were being experimented on and had been for a long time, would maybe take action, right? I mean, wow. They're privy to a lot of top secret information, but this is so compartmentalized, right? I was wondering. Well, let's not get off on that. Get off on this topic. But Rubio, a Gang of Eight member, said the Biden administration was not providing enough concrete information to the committees of jurisdiction on Capitol Hill. This is great. I remember this part because this is my favorite part of the article. We're demanding to know more. It's a legitimate thing for us to oversee, not just on how they've responded, but how that's ongoing, Rubio said in a brief interview. I know I haven't been told enough. And I think you'll find everybody else agrees with that, right? So this article showed me how much Marco Rubio knew, right? Now he knows. I think that he's been getting letters from citizens, and he's, heard some news about citizens being hit. But then he's trying to ask these intelligence agencies about stuff like that, how far this goes, what's going on, who's doing this, are we doing this, right? And they're like, no, you can't know that. That's classified, right? So he's talking about. He's not like in on it, right? He's not in on it at the very least. And I love that. That's great for us. That's great for us that he said something like this. I know I haven't been told enough. And I think you'll find everybody else agrees with that. So they're going to push on it, right? These senators are going to push on it. Send them more letters. Send them like thank you letters. I'm gonna send them some thank you like I don't want to use that example. I was gonna say when you want something and you thank God for it before you get it, right, and then He'll give it to you. I don't want to compare these senators to God, right, but I'm just saying like Send them a thank you letter for all that they're doing for citizens of the United States of America. Like, I don't know, like some of you women put your tears on the page or something like that. Like, I mean, we've got to like make these people know like we're hurting, like but thank them, right? Have the right balance of ferocity, urgency, but also thanks to people that we are pretty sure are not on the take and psychopathic, right? We want to thank them for even just being in that position, because is it going to end well? I don't know. Look, I'll be honest. I'll be honest, guys. I think Marco Rubio is already being targeted. I don't know about the other members, but I've watched Marco Rubio since I was younger, right? In like right after college, I think me and my dad would watch him a lot in a house that I had, and we both liked him. And I watched him, and I'm just seeing blinking movements and irateness that I've never seen before. Like he's yelling on some of these news things, which I think is like, well, is he just mad because yeah, you should be mad about what's going on in the world, but it's a little bit. It's I really suspect. I'll just say I really suspect that he's hooked into. And the deal is this: is that's common sense. That if you understand the Pentagon and the CIA, you would know that they've hooked into his brain, and you'd know that they've hooked into the brains of that whole eight, right? It's common, and me saying it is like even some targeted individuals are like, nah, great. I'm not saying hooked into them, start targeting them, start hurting them. I'm saying they hooked into their brain to see what's going on, and they maybe don't know, and they maybe they do subtle things to them, right? Because there's many different ways to use these weapons, not only just like the full tamale, right? The Big Lebowski, the whole thing, the chimichanga. Um, I like that. I know I haven't been told enough, and I think you'll find everybody else agrees with that. Senator Richard Burr, the former chair and current member of the Intelligence Committee, said the panel has not been briefed about the suspected domestic incidents involving directed energy. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Look at that. I didn't remember that from this article. Senator Richard Burr, the former chair and current member of the Intelligence Committee, these are people on the freaking Intelligence Committee, said the panel has not been briefed about the suspected domestic incidents involving directed energy. Adding, I would think most people would assume that we have been briefed. A source familiar with the committee's briefings noted that the panel has been informed about the suspected incidents on U.S. soil. A source familiar with the committee's briefings noted that the panel has been... What? Wait, let me read that over. Whoa. Senator Richard Burr, the former chair and current member of the Intelligence Committee, said the panel has not been briefed about the suspected domestic incidents involving directed energy, adding, I would think most people would assume that we have been briefed. That's what I assumed. I assumed they knew everything. The domestic, I guess they're maybe talking about those few domestic incidents. I don't think so. I think they're talking about us. I think they're talking about citizens getting hit. A source familiar with the committee's briefings noted that the panel has been informed about the suspected incident. They're talking about two different things there. Senator Richard Burr is talking about the citizens that are complaining about it. This person is saying, a source familiar with the committee's briefings has noted that the panel has been informed about the suspected incidents, like the two, right? Like the one near the White House and this one. They're talking about two different things right there. Wow, they're talking about two different things right there, and the article made you think that they were talking about just those two little incidents. That's on purpose. That's on purpose. That's on purpose. I'm not sure if it's on purpose, but they're talking about two different things. Y'all read that paragraph carefully. Tell me what you think about in the comments. February 4, 2020, and now he's no longer on there. Former chair and current member of... Oh, no, he's the former chair and current member. A representative for the Office of the Director of National Intelligence declined to comment. A spokesperson for the CIA referred questions about the broader engagement with Congress to the National Security Council. National Security Council. So do we need to go to the National Security Council to get help? Maybe I'll just call the National Security Council. Like, my brain's being messed up, so I'm at kind of at a point where I wanna kind of like not do anything violent or dangerous, but I want to like kind of misbehave a little bit. But the whole thing is, man, you call somebody and you record it, and it's a certain federal agency, and it's like you could get 10 years in prison or something, and they rape us in our minds 24 hours a day. Yeah. Anarcho tyranny is what we live in now. We live in a shifting, oligarchical, global to our governments, anarcho tyranny, but they want to turn it into a technocracy slash like oligarchy, right? Technoc tech tech oligarchy, a tech oligarchy, right? That the people accept, right? It's an anarcho-tyrannism because right now they're trying to kill people and get them under control and stuff like that, and get the nations kind of ordered how they want, right? So they can do whatever they want. We can't do anything because they're trying to put us down and control us, right? And also change what's in our bodies, right? For biosurveillance and bio getting rid of somebody, bio torture, bio experimentation. I can't remember where I was going with that thought, but yeah, anarcho-tyrannism right now because they're getting things in place, right? Great Reset, blah, 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 all the killing and stuff like that. But but what they want in place after the anarcho-tyrannism is like a technocratic oligarchy, right? But the people like accept them as gods, right? The technocratic overlords. I think they want to be seen as more than that, which we got to be careful. I don't know. That's another conversation for another time. Okay, in our first 100 days, the Biden administration has both more open and closed member and staff engagements on this issue than the entire Trump administration, said National Security Council spokesman Emily Horn. We will keep working closely with Congress on this issue and very much appreciate efforts by members to support improved access to medical care for impacted individuals. Okay. In our first 100 days, the Biden administration had both more open and closed member and staff engagements on this issue than the entire Trump administration. That's good. But I think things are kind of scheduled like, oh, we're going to do this. It's going to be a big thing. I don't think the Biden administration just kind of like chose to work on this. Said National Security Council spokesman Emily Horn. We will keep working closely with Congress on this issue and very much appreciate efforts by members to support improved access to medical care for impacted individuals. So she's on the National Security Council. So I'm gonna call the National Security Council, and I'm gonna see where we call to get that help. Right? If we are I'm gonna use my status as a family member of a federal government worker. Right? I'm a brother to a federal government worker, and he's being targeted with Havana syndrome. That's all I'll say on that one. I don't want to talk about like his personal life or anything like that, but like he's being targeted, and he doesn't know it. Right? And he needs to be treated for his Havana syndrome as well as his family, his mother and his father and his brother and his aunt. You know, so nuts. It's all so nuts. I don't know. Do you ever get a feeling though, like, okay, let's finish that. Complicating matters further is the fact that in addition to the intelligence panels, the House and the Senate Armed Services Committee are pushing for additional information on the attacks, which have also impacted Defense Department personnel. The Pentagon, which launched a task force on the suspected attacks last year, you say task force, I say cover-up machine, tomato, right? Launched a task force on the suspected attacks last year, has been briefing both committees and told lawmakers last month that the threat against U.S. personnel was growing and urgent. And the threat to citizens that have been tortured with this stuff at least since the 1950s, a lot of them have just died. because nobody helped them and there was no help, and doctors, if they'd go try and get help from the doctors, would either implant them again or throw them in a mental institution since the 1950s, and a lot of them died, their family members not coming to their hospital bed or their funeral because they thought they were mentally ill, right? It's urgent, to say the least. The investigation has intensified in recent months and now includes all 18 agencies of the U.S. intelligence community. The investigation has intensified in recent months and now includes all 18 agencies of the U.S. intelligence community. So they are in on the investigation. All the 18 agencies. I don't know, I'm thinking FBI, CIA, DIA, Pentagon, Air Force intelligence, naval intelligence, Army intelligence, maybe the Marines, some of those guys. So why don't we just start calling all of those intelligence agencies, right? I guess that could be dangerous. Because then if like I call a bunch of them, it's like they'll be like, oh man, he's trying to do something, get more dude, the resource on me, like I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Like I'm not going to talk, I'm going to, some of the details of this stuff, I'm not going to, because they want me to sound insane, right? They're doing it more, but they've done it kind of the entire time. They've made my targeting really, really, I know some of you guys, men and women, get targeting that's really as bad as mine. But it's like they've really tried to make my targeting way worse, and some of the gang stalking stuff goes, it's just like, ooh, because they want me to come on a video and say it, right? They want me to sound ultra crazy. So I'm going to be a little bit more careful because we're in a spot where we need to have some movement. Like we have these holes and these things that are going on, and these are the things that we should be looking at. If you're a targeted individual, these are the things that we're going to get stuck on. These are our holes. The UN and this, and like they're not going to work, but all together and pushing this stuff and pushing it out, like it could work, right? I got plans within plans, and God's got plans within my plans and around my plans, and a plan around every plan. So plan for that. Okay, told lawmakers last month that the threat against U.S. personnel was growing and urgent. The investigation has intensified in recent months, and now all 18 agencies of the U.S. intelligence community. Burns, in particular, has stepped up his personal involvement in the matter. There are a lot of entities within the government looking at this, Werner said. That's why, I think that's why they had to do the investigation. Because so many people were like complaining about it and like, man, they're killing U.S. citizens, and like, oh, there's a stuff going on with directed energy weapons, right? And so they had to do this to appease a lot of people in agencies that were like more than unhappy with this stuff, right? So there are a lot of entities within the government looking at this, Warner said. We need to have it better coordinated, and I think there's a level of seriousness given to this now that frankly was not there until Director Burns came and made this a priority. I agree. I'm not happy about how it's going down, but it's something. It's not nothing. And with us, what we need to see is if they give us any kind of, I don't want to say dangling carrot, right? I wanted to say something gross. I'm sorry, guys. If they give us any arm, right, hanging down, like grab that arm, we've got stuff now. We haven't had anything for a long time, and the Cuban embassy attacks happened, and then all these other attacks happened, and then the UN was kind of talking about cyber torture, and then this happened. It's like those holes are getting wider, and we just gotta. I'll talk a bit about that after the article, but okay, so at a Senate Armed Services Committee hearing on Tuesday, Shaheen pressed Biden's pick to be the Pentagon's top civilian intelligence official, Ronald Moultrie, on making more information about the mysterious attacks publicly available. Wait, what is that? I didn't read that right. At a Senate Armed Services Committee hearing on Tuesday, Shaheen pressed Biden's pick to be the Pentagon's top civilian intelligence official, Ronald Moultrie, on making more information about the mysterious attacks publicly available. The details released have been very dispersed and very classified, Shaheen said. Sometimes I'm not sure that one agency talks to the other agency in terms of what we're doing, she added. Well, that would be very obvious to any of us that have studied these contractors and these military agencies, right? They're totally compartmentalized, they're totally siloed. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, this weather warfare, like the agencies that create these hurricanes, that must be extremely compartmentalized. I sometimes wonder if my microwave attackers who are using directed energy on me, if they even believe that that's weather warfare, that those things. I think they do, like, I don't know, they don't tell me, they don't say like yes or no or blah blah blah, but I'm pretty sure they're like, they see the wildfires and stuff, and they know, because it's in directed energy, you can see going down to the ground, right? But I don't even think these people who are working with directed energy weapons, like advanced technology, even know if weather warfare, like they can go, yeah, directed energy can do that stuff, but they're not doing that, right? It's too big. It's that double think, right? Like, definitely they could do that, weather warfare, but nah, that's too big, man. That's too big. You know. Sometimes I'm not sure that one agency yeah, that's so true. I bet you so many citizens that's a guy, right? Gene Shaheen. I think like when I first said the name, I pictured it as a woman. I think it's a man. Is it a man or a woman? I should know that. Sorry, guys. Shaheen, it's a guy. It's a dude. It's a dude's dude. Shaheen urged Moultrie to push for an unclassified accounting. The senators are pushing for an unclassified accounting to ensure lawmakers and the public get consistent information on directed energy attacks. What if they gave these senators an unclassified accounting of what they're doing with these directed energy? Could you imagine? But here's the thing. Even if they don't give them an unclassified accounting, they're like, what are you hiding? Everybody in articles, what are you hiding, right? So this thing is just kind of blown up in ways that I don't see were planned. I see that the investigation was maybe planned, right? And the Pentagon and the CIA, but these senators' reactions, I don't know. This is cool. This is cool. Because I've been wondering about Marco Rubio for a long time, and I know when he says stuff, like, nobody can be that good of a liar, because I can read people pretty well. And probably people have tricked me. Probably a lot. Okay, so Moultrie vowed he would find ways to disseminate this information. Moultrie vowed. Oh, this is one's for you, Moultrie. That's for you, Moultrie. Moultrie vowed. I can get it off my beard. Or my scrubble. Scrubble. I don't call it stubble, I call it scrubble. Scrubbing bubbles. Moultrie vowed he would find ways to disseminate this information to our citizens and to those who need to know in our installations and facilities around the world. This is awesome, the beginning of something. I don't know how to feel about it and how it's going to all roll out because of everything, but this is awesome right here. So let's leave it at that. These senators are angry that they're not... Okay, that's frozen. I didn't pull that out. I didn't touch that thing. Okay, but that's awesome. That's really awesome. And, okay, so this is from by Andrew Desiderio, 5/11/2021. This article is from no. This article is not 5/11/2021. Really? This is from that far back? Okay, well, I've got to look into what's going on now. God, that is so crappy. And probably at the beginning, like at the beginning of this, they were all like, give us answers, give us answers. And then, like, their family started being hurt a little bit. And they're like, okay, never mind. 5/11's a long time ago. 5/11's like 4 months ago. Okay, well, I'm going to look up. It's a great article. I mean, it shows that I should have seen this before. Is this really from. Was it posted on 5/11 or this article was written on 5/11? We owe this to our people. I thought it was a newer article, guys. That's why it made me excited. It still makes me excited. It's still good news. It still gives us information about what's going on. I'm sure things have changed about, like, they're demanding stuff, to know stuff. But maybe not. Maybe not. No, I don't take anything back about what I said about this article. Forget the date of it. It happened, right? Why did I read the date at the end of it? And I'll tell you why. No, I won't tell you why. No, I won't tell you why. Because it'll make me sound really crazy. But they're that detailed. It's that detailed with certain. That's the thing. That's where they can't make me go do anything big. But so what they've kind of come down to is just like making me not do this little thing or that little thing or this and then that, and trying to grow that, right, trying to kind of widen that. I'm working on stuff defensive wise, and I need to be doing cleansings and stuff like that too. I'm working on stuff. Alright, guys, anything like this, I'm gonna go, you guys send me stuff, but I'm gonna go into Twitter and just get some new new articles and things that are going on. I'm gonna find out if anything new is going on in the Senate, but I think it's bedlam, right? And senators are dealing with a whole bunch of different stuff now. Even the Intelligence Committee has to deal with Afghanistan, right? So I don't know how fast all of these proceedings and investigations are going to go. I don't know if it's just going to get kind of buried for a while or whatever. But it's still, when you go up and talk to people, all this stuff is a shield, so they can't do crap to you. They may not help you, right? But they can't do anything to you anymore. So let's take that as a major victory. Nobody can throw you in a mental facility, right? If you just say, I've got Havana syndrome. I don't know what it, like, I mean, if you're not good at talking about this stuff, right, just say, I've got Havana syndrome, ringing in the ears, headaches, stuff like that. I don't know what it comes from, right? And then nobody can, they can take you to a doctor. They can't throw you into a mental facility. And there's more good that's going to come out of it. But I love you guys. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. There will be more. I'm going to look for some more recent news. I thought this was recent. I thought this was from maybe a month ago or 2 months ago. I was thinking it was from 2 months ago. But it's from 4 months ago. So it's a little bit different. Alright, guys. I will see you guys on the next one. I love y'all. Just hang tight. God's got this. God's got this. God's got this. The ending and the beginning. Maybe the middle is gonna suck. He's got the beginning and the ending. Alright, I love y'all. I'll see you on the next.